Well, YouTubers, I'm sorry if I'm boring you with my coronavirus wild guess equation. By the way, the price of my Germex bottle has gone up. Um, I think this is still a bargain. I haven't seen one of these things in a store anywhere lately. So I really think you should jump on this. And you should just put it away somewhere. Put it in a safe. A few years from now, you could probably get 10, 20 grand for this. Just my suggestion. By the way, if you need alcohol, consider going to a hardware store and buying denatured alcohol. In the paint department, little tip for you, alcohol actually does work against the coronavirus, and most people are thinking about grocery stores, drugstores, things like that. You can get denatured alcohol, which is like ethyl alcohol, like vodka, except it has some kind of horrible ingredient in it to make it undrinkable for tax purposes, but it should work. So I have some really freaky news about my equation, okay? If you've been watching my videos, I created this equation, I don't know, sometime like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I adjusted it a little bit at first. There's a constant right here. I don't know if you know what this means. I'll just point it out for people who haven't been here before. Simple differential equation. Every college student who's taken differential equations is familiar with this. It's used to estimate things like the growth of bacteria in a petri dish. I don't know how accurately it works for that, but it must work fairly well because it exists. Anyway, A is the total number of infections as reported by the Johns-Hopkins website, which you can go look up. Now, I'm not saying this is the actual number of infections. I'm saying it's what Johns-Hopkins thinks is the number of infections. Different number, but it's the best we've got. This is the original number of infections. This is A subscript 0, which was on March the 5th. And it's rough. I mean, it was probably like 89,340 or something, but I've rounded it to 90. This EXP means Euler's number, E to the power of. And this is 23, which is the number of days, whatever day you want to choose, you put that in here. And this is the constant, which determines how fast the infection spreads, or appears to. It's my guess. So I've been doing this for quite some time. And what I've been telling people is, it was really good a few days ago. I don't remember exactly when. You can go back and look at my videos. I was within 9% of the actual figure. And I told people, I said, it's never going to be perfect. And I didn't even expect it to be within 9%. And the fact that it's within 9% didn't really mean that it was a great equation. It just meant that on that particular day, it was doing really well. You really can't predict these things with microscopic accuracy. You just can't. You could have an equation that's better, that says 9% on a given day, and another equation that says 20% on the same day, and the 20% equation might actually be better in the long term, because life isn't a video game. There's a lot of factors in here that we can't understand. Doctors are biased toward diagnosing coronavirus. I guarantee you that. Doctors are actually like that. People think that there's some perfect test out there and we know exactly how many cases there are. We always know whether someone had coronavirus or the flu or a cold or whatever. And the truth is we don't, and we don't have a good test. So I don't know if anybody remembers this, like back in the 90s, suddenly everybody had ADD, attention deficit disorder. Diagnoses went nuts and everybody was on Ritalin. And one of the big concerns was that doctors were overdiagnosing this because it was fashionable. And doctors are human beings, so people have this idea that they're little gods and they know everything. It's not true. They're human beings. They're influenced by fads and fashions, just like everyone else. They put everyone on Prozac late in the 90s. I think they kind of reeled that back in. They used to give everybody a tonsillectomy if they could hold them down long enough, and then they said, no, we should never do that. I think autism has kind of gone this way. So, these days, a whole lot of people, if you're just a little weird, you've got autism now. And truthfully, I know autism is a real thing. I'm not crazy, but I don't think, I highly suspect that there's a lot of people being diagnosed who are just eccentric. People have said that I have autism. People have said that I have Asperger's, which I'm weird. I'm not going to lie about that. But I've looked it up and it doesn't sound anything like me. What if I had gone to the wrong doctor? So there's a lot of factors going into the number that Johns-Hopkins has that have nothing to do with the actual infection rate. So you just kind of hope that with a big world and a lot of people doing different things, things will kind of smooth out and you'll get a nice curve that's sort of predictable, and maybe that works. Well, it seems like it does work, at least to predict that number, which is dubious, because this number is my error, okay? Today, here's how many cases Johns-Hopkins said we have. Global. And remember, this is global, and the flu total in the United States is 40 million. That's just the United States. This is global. So, big, scary number, huh? I'm not making light of people who actually are suffering with this disease, but you have to put things in perspective. It's a big, big, big world. You know, if something goes around the world and kills 100,000 people, well, that's terrible, but go look on the internet and see how many of the common cold kills, and then ask yourself, did I lose my mind over that? No, you didn't. The world keeps turning. So anyway, current figure, my equation's prediction, and here's the error, 20.8% roughly. Well, several days ago, I've been looking at this day by day. I was at 9%, and then it blew up to like 17.5%, and then it was 20, and now it's 20 again. Almost, I mean, it's within, you know, less than a percentage of what it was a couple of days ago. I was thinking when I started seeing I knew that this thing was going to diverge. I knew that the actual number was going to go past my prediction because people were getting all excited about this, and there were going to be more diagnoses and more tests. And even if the infection itself didn't spread more quickly, that would blow up the number. So I knew that, and I decided to leave the equation alone and not try to cover up, you know, the error and pretend that it didn't happen. You can't just keep changing your constant forever, because if you do that, then you're just predicting what happened today. So, but I said to myself, well, what if just for fun, what if it turns out this error, which changes with time, can also be predicted by an exponential equation? I thought it might be funny to take this error and look at it over time and put together another little equation and then add that figure to my figure up here and see if I could get really close. But I can't do that. And I'll tell you why. This number seems to be pretty flat. Now, that's amazing. It's not just interesting, it's amazing, because if you know your error very precisely, then you know your exact number precisely. You know what I mean? If you have a yardstick and it's actually 39 inches long and you're measuring things that are 3 feet high, you know, you can fiddle with the numbers and get an accurate measurement every time, even though your yardstick is wrong. I hope you understand what I'm saying. If you know the error, then you know the exact value. So the fact that this thing is stable right now over a period of several days, the error, that means that even though my equation is off by 20%, it still works really, really well. All you have to do is take my equation and add 20% to it. So I just don't know what to say about this. I didn't expect anything like this. I mean, I thought I would come close. I thought, maybe I'll be within 50%, maybe I'll be within 75%, and that'll be good enough, because all you have to do to make yourself happy in this epidemic is to show that we're not going to have 40 million cases in America alone the way we do with the flu as of today. That's what's important. All you have to know is that this thing is not going to blow up like the flu or like the Spanish flu or like the bubonic plague. If you know that, then all this was worth it, and it doesn't matter if my equation is off by a factor of 2 or a factor of 5. I mean, there's a big difference between 40 million and 800,000. So this is great. This is amazing. I don't really know what's going on. I don't understand how it came out this well. If this thing obeyed the Petri dish equation, you know, they always tell you that when you're taking differential equations. They say the Petri dish equation, which is this one up here, if it obeyed the, well, you expect it to, you know, if you trust people who are teaching you high-level undergraduate math, it's weird that you would end up with this plus a percentage that never varies. That's strange. I don't know how long this will last. What if this lasts for like another 2 or 3 weeks? That'd be really interesting. The fact that it's lasted for several days is astounding. So, I just want to encourage people. Don't be afraid of this epidemic. take reasonable precautions. Stay away from old people. Stay away from the weak and the sick. Stay away from people who smoke. People who are obese. Let's be honest. Those are the people who are in real danger. But you don't have to go live in a bag. It's all right to go to the drugstore. It's all right to go to the grocery store. This thing is not going to wipe us out. The economic panic is much worse than the disease. The economic panic is what's going to cause you to lose your home. It's what's going to cause you to lose your job. It's what's going to cause you to lose your car. The disease itself isn't going to do that. And we didn't have to do all these things that we're doing now. We could have taken a more rational approach. I would also encourage people during this time, try to get in touch with God. Try to get in touch with the Holy Spirit. Try to be a nice person with God's help. Try to have His love poured through you. What we're seeing now is an outbreak of fear, and fear and love don't get along well, because when you're afraid, you look out for number one, and that's pretty much the opposite of love. I've always heard people say that fear and love are opposites, and I always thought that doesn't make sense. Love and hate are opposites. But it really is true. Fear rubs out love. It causes us to treat other people very badly. It's very bad to go to the grocery store and buy a pallet of toilet paper, which you don't need anyway, because this isn't a diarrhea epidemic. And there is no shortage of toilet paper. You still can't get toilet paper where I live. Thank goodness I got a bidet and I already had a bunch of toilet paper. I don't know what other people are doing. You got to think about other people. When you go to the store and you see something that you need and there's 2 or 3 of them, don't buy all of them. Just say, well, 5 pounds of flour, that'll get me through another week, and this thing's going to end. Because there really are no food shortages. People don't seem to understand that. There's no food shortage. There may be kind of a sanitizer shortage because there's a limit to how much of this stuff we can produce. That's my understanding. Our production is not that great, but food's different. We have a tremendous food production capacity in the United States and food distribution capacity. So things like that, they're not going to go away. Also, I'll tell you something interesting. The ammunition shortage is drying up. I can tell you, when you go online, you can still find, well, I shouldn't say you can once again find, after a week of craziness, you can once again find things like .22 ammunition at good prices. So it's coming back. Websites are saying our shipping times are going back down. So things are looking up. But try to think about love and your concern for other people. And do you want to be remembered as the guy who filled his garage with toilet paper? Even worse, do you want to be you do want to be remembered as the guy who filled his garage with this stuff and then sold it to people for $30 a bottle? I mean, I'm joking, okay? I hope that's clear. I hope no one's, maybe there's foreigners watching this and they're thinking, this guy wants $5,000 for a bottle of hand sanitizer, and maybe they don't know what $5,000 is. I mean, no, $5,000 is a lot of money. You can buy a used car for that. I'm kidding. It's a joke. Think about other people. Love is really important. People don't realize, I know it sounds trite, it sounds like something off a greeting card, but if you look at the Bible, it's very clear that God created the universe because of love. That is the reason He created the universe. So it really is the reason we exist. And you negate that when you run around taking things away from other people, and especially when you're buying things that other people need that you don't need, and you're selling it back to them at inflated prices. There's a special curse on somebody who does a thing like that. So I really encourage you, get into prayer. Right now you got a great opportunity. A lot of churches are closed, so you have a wonderful opportunity to get away from preachers who by and large are toxic. There's a lot of greedy people in the pulpit. There's a lot of self-righteous people. There's some anti-Semitic churches out there that are kind of flipping out on that bizarre tangent. There are the old line churches like the Catholics and the Anglicans and so forth that deny the power of the Holy Spirit and really act as wonderful barriers between us and God. And during this time now, you can talk to God in person. You can have people come to your house. You can do communion in your living room. Take advantage of it. Get to know God personally. He is real. I'm telling you, He's real. Jesus visited me twice. I've had all kinds of supernatural experiences. I am far from alone. I am not a special saint. Ask around. Go on the internet. This stuff is real. One of the things God promises people is that He'll take care of them during famines and hard times. So this stuff matters. But, even more than having food and money and so forth, you really need to have your character preserved and improved, because that's the only thing you're going to take with you when you die. And you're going to go one way or the other. So it's really important. It's really important. And, Shakespeare believed that the price for being a bad person was being a bad person. Even if you didn't get caught during this lifetime, even if you didn't get imprisoned, just the fact that you were a slime ball in and of itself was the punishment. And people don't think enough about that. So if you're sitting right now on a couch made from toilet paper that you don't need, you should be pondering that. Think about other people. Try to be helpful. Don't hog everything. Spend a lot of time in prayer. Get to know God. He wants to know you. It's true. It's not a joke. So, I don't know. I'm just really freaked out. I want to see if this continues to work this well in the future. I hope it's encouraging to people. Next time I'll try to be, I'll try to get back to the gun stuff and the tool stuff. And I've been filling bottles with, I drink bottled water, which kind of was a problem for me because I've had a problem with kidney stones. So I drink purified water, which has fewer minerals in it, supposedly. I hope it does. So I've got all these water bottles, and I've been saving them and filling them with food coloring and water so I can take them out and shoot them. I'm going to build little stands that I can prop water on. And I've also got a bunch of gongs, a bunch of steel gongs on the way, so I'm going to build a second gong stand. And I better get to my metal supplier. I don't think they'll ever shut everything down here. My county has been like a blissful oasis, freedom from lockdowns. You can't go to a restaurant unless you want takeout. And if you have kids, well, they can't go to school. But I can go to Target whenever I want. I can go to Home Depot whenever I want. So it's been really blissful. But nonetheless, I suppose I should go down and see my metal supplier in case they go paranoid and start shooting everybody who drives up the block. So I hope to be a little bit more lighthearted and amusing in the future for you. But please take heart. This thing is not going to ruin America. We're going to come out of this very soon. If things are going like this now, we're probably going to see the end of this thing. I mean, not the end, but we're going to start seeing the decline in a couple of weeks, maybe a month. And it's not going to be that bad. Your neighbors aren't going to die. You're not going to die. I mean, if you're old, if you're fat, if you're sick, yeah, be careful. But other than that, just calm down. Things aren't that bad. So I hope this is helpful. I'm out, and I'll see if I can post another video later in the week.